Every coffee needs a lotus.
The views and opinions expressed by the speaker, host, commentator, or other third party in Ariva webinars, e-learning events, and/or virtual masterclass are those of the speaker, host, commentator, or third party and do not necessarily reflect and represent the views and opinions of Ariva. Furthermore, Ariva does not warrant, express, or imply the merchantability and fitness for a particular purpose of any product information, service, or process presented by the speaker, host, commentator, or third party, and Ariva specifically disclaims any legal liability or responsibility for the accuracy, completeness, or usefulness of any product information, service, or process presented. Finally, material or information presentation, opinion, process, or service by, on any trade name, trademark, manufacturer, or otherwise during Ariva webinars, e-learning events, and/or virtual masterclass do not constitute or imply Ariva's endorsement or recommendation of such opinion, process, service, item, or organization.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Ariva Academy's free live webinar with our topic this afternoon, how to develop your emotional intelligence for effective working relationships. I'm Kate, and I will be with you the whole afternoon as your host, and I will also be learning with you. I am very excited, I'm sure you all are, to listen and learn from our speaker. But before I introduce him, I have a few reminders to make sure that our program will run smoothly the whole afternoon. Ariva is committed to protecting your privacy, hence stricter security of this webinar has been implemented. For better viewing of your Zoom experience, we encourage you to please update your Zoom application by visiting their website. And for those of you who are using their mobile gadgets to view this webinar, you can go to either the Google Play Store or the Apple Store so you can download and install the Zoom app. Now, I want to know who here is joining an Ariva Academy webinar for the first time. If it's your first time, can you type hi here in the chat box so that we'll know who are first timers here. Also, let us know where you are from, where you're watching us from. I'm seeing already a while ago, we have a lot of participants who are typing their location from Bacolod, from La Union, Catanduanes. We also have from Batangas, Laguna, Cavite, Muntinlupa, hi, kapitbahay. Clark, Cainta, Bulacan, Bicol, Pangasinan, Naga, Dagupan, from Manila, Cebu, from Qatar, yes, from Catanduanes, Pangasinan, Bulacan, Binondo, Romblon. I have a list also of participants who are really from out of town. So we have from Agusan del Norte, from Bacolod, Bataan, Batangas, Bicol, Cagayan de Oro, Cebu, from Davao, Jensan, from Iligan City, from Iloilo, from Laguna, from Leyte, from Isabela, from Palawan, from Pampanga. Yes, we have a lot of participants from Pangasinan, from Puerto Galera, from Puerto Princesa, from Quezon Province, from Sorsogon, from South Cotabato, wow, from Surigao, from Tuguegarao, Zambales, from Zamboanga City, from Zamboanga del Sur, from Tarlac, from Taguig, hello, from Negros, from Pangasinan, Bohol. So we have participants, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Hello. Good afternoon, Philippines. And a while ago, someone mentioned that they are in Qatar right now. Aside from Qatar, we have participants who are viewing us from UAE, from Malaysia, and from Singapore. So hello, world. Good afternoon. We are really thrilled to have everyone with us this afternoon. We really have an interesting topic, so I'm sure you're all excited to listen to that. But I want to make sure that once our speaker is on screen, you will be able to hear his discussion clearly. So let's do an audio check. Type 111 if you can hear me loud and clear. You can also type 222 if you can hear anything. Type 2121 for those of you that can hear me, but the sound that you're hearing is breaking up or I sound choppy or laggy. And question mark if you don't understand what is happening. We'll try to help you out. Let me check the chat box. It's moving too fast and I'm seeing a lot of 111s. Thank you for that. If ever you're having trouble with your audio, please make sure you have it checked before we start our discussion so that you will not be missing out any point coming from our speaker. Okay, thank you for your feedback. So later we'll have a 5-minute break and something exciting will also happen during that break time. So watch out for that. Now, participants' microphones will be temporarily disabled by our administrator during the discussion to avoid interruptions. But we will allot the Q&A portion. During that time, you can click the raise hand button so that we can allow you to unmute your microphone and you can ask your question directly to our speaker. Or you can also type your questions here in the chat box. And then during the Q&A portion, I will be reading them. An e-certificate of attendance will be awarded to participants who will successfully complete the entire virtual masterclass. And they will be available 3 to 5 working days after this learning session. As proof of your attendance, please make sure your cameras are turned on all throughout our session. Again, as proof of your attendance, please make sure that your cameras are turned on all throughout our session. We really want to make this webinar very interactive. Now, please also help us build and improve our service with your comments and feedback. You can scan this QR code that will bring you instantly to the feedback form. We will also post a link here in the chat box for this feedback form before we end our session today. So just fill out that form and then send it back to us. We'll greatly appreciate your feedback. There you have it. I'm sure you're all eager to get to know our speaker. So let me introduce him. Today's speaker is a strategy professor with over 30 years of local and international operations and strategic management experience, with a proven track record in leading and grooming effective teams in the corporate and nonprofit industry. He is a subject matter expert in strategy management and leadership development, emotional intelligence, executive coaching, training and development, module design and delivery of fast-track learning, and creating team entrepreneurial drive. He is the first and only strategic management professional by the Association of Strategic Planning in the Philippines. He is currently serving in a Christian international nonprofit organization as Chief Capacity Officer for over 4 years. He's committed to the long-term pursuit of EQ development in the Philippines through a program called Scent EQ. It is a model that offers assessment and specific emotional intelligence coaching and training classes to individuals and organizations who share the same interest in emotional intelligence development. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome our speaker, Coach Lito Cornejo.
Good afternoon, everyone. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao.
And the whole world, I think so.
And the whole, and Asia and the whole world. Correct. Let me just set up my presentation.
Yes, please. We're eager to see that and listen to you.
If somebody can allow me lang to present, there you go. I think that should be my cue. Right. Okay, let me just do this. There. Looks good, Kate, right?
Yes, we can see it.
There you go. Okay, let me just start off by, we only have about an hour and 15 minutes. So let me just jump into asking some questions. How many here have experienced one time or another emotional exhaustion or burnout because of some job demand? You can just, send in a chat message if you have experienced anything of some sort. Meron ba? Oh, marami. I'm just checking out my text. Wow. Yeah, common yan. And so how do we be effective leaders from the interpersonal perspective if we are experiencing emotional exhaustion and burnout? Diba? That's a big challenge, a question that needs to be answered. Third question, how many of you are spending a good amount of your time in interpersonal exchanges? You don't have to be a supervisor, but how many of you are spending a good amount of time in interpersonal exchanges? Sige, tignan natin yung ating chat. Yan. Okay. Yes. I think most of us, if not all, would have to be exposed in some form of interpersonal communication or exchanges. And I think that's our topic for today. And we live in a world of an ever-changing environment. The proverbial saying, the only thing that is permanent is change. Well, it holds true in our business environment, but not only that, but it also shapes our decision-making. Technology is also a factor when it comes to our behavior. Communicating has become easier. We have access to all forms of communication. We have access to data. We have access to all forms of platform to be able to communicate, and therefore emotional intelligence, which is our topic for today, becomes so crucial and very important. We don't want to just depend on technology, but we want to continue in developing and enhancing our emotional intelligence, because we are social creatures, and it's very important for us to have such an important skill set as we interact with our environment. I'm sure you will agree with me that developing EI, or emotional intelligence, in maintaining relationship is so crucial, especially when managing complex relationships. And in spite of that, it is crucial for leaders like you to have meaningful connections with people around us. And EI, ladies and gentlemen, is a very important skill set needed for us to communicate more effectively, manage our conflicts, diba? Every one of us have that, navigate challenging interpersonal exchanges, and of course, build trust. We are all involved in some way on those aspects that I have mentioned. EI particularly requires some kind of flexibility and stress management. These two particular skill sets are so important to develop a strong working relationship. And you may not have heard this before, but they become requisites or prerequisites to becoming a guru in terms of interpersonal skill sets or developing interpersonal skill sets. And I'd like to share that to you as we conduct now our short training for today. And that topic is on how to develop emotional intelligence for effective working relationships. Now, the topic begs the question, what do I mean to develop? Does it require me to get into a program? Does it require me to have a longitudinal perspective of how to develop EI? Does it mean entering a training school or going to school? Well, what we're trying to do here is how to develop EI towards effective working relationship is being able to share with you, explore the core components of emotional intelligence, including self-perception, self-expression, interpersonal skills, decision-making, and stress management. Why am I including all this when in fact we just mentioned working relationship? Because all these are working together and are linked together to work for us to be able to execute yung tinatawag nating interpersonal skills. One cannot do without the other. That's why I need to cover that, so that the objective of us being able to be, savvy in interpersonal skills would be met. We will also discuss practical strategies and techniques for developing and improving EI. And I'll share with you a 5-step process. And since a lot of us are spending time in interpersonal exchanges, EI skills are integral to being a good boss. So, are you ready? Sagot naman dyan. Are you ready? Yan, very good. Okay, we will begin. Let me start off with an activity. And this is an activity. Here's the question. Think of a leader for whom or with whom you worked. One that brought out the best in you. One that you would gladly work with or for again. Now, think of a person, you don't question. Think of a name that you have worked with before, or even in the present environment that you have. And then once you have a name, I want you to think of one trait of that person that you would like to emulate. Just one trait. So don't come up with a figment of your imagination. It has to be the real person that you have worked with, whom you have decided to work for again. And then think of that one characteristic. You don't have to share right now. Think of one characteristic of that person that you would like to emulate. Okay, how that question is clear. Let me just Wait, I didn't- Okay, while you're thinking, let me just give you an idea on um, those characteristics that you're thinking. Characteristic, wag niyo muna isulat. Don't write it down yet, but I will definitely go through those items. Think of it first, and then once you're ready, we'll cover that. Okay, I think you are ready. Okay, I hope you're able to cover that. And now, having your answers with you, just one characteristics, I want you to classify them into these categories. Is it a technical competence that you have admired or you want to emulate? Is it a cognitive competence? Ibig sabihin, IQ, super talino. Ibig sabihin ng cognitive, IQ yan. Ibig sabihin, ang galing sa math, di ba? Medyo siguro ang kanyang IQ rating is nasa 120. Ganyan. Or is it their emotional and social competence? Without me defining emotional and social competence, what is it that you admire about that person? And I want you to go to a voting code. It's in menti.com, www.menti.com. The voting code is 48876998, or you can just scan the barcode in there. It's for you for a quick shift to menti.com, and you can vote. Let me see if I can shift there. So again, voting code is 4887. You can use your phone. 6998, 48876998. Tignan natin. Ayan, may nag-vote na. Ang bilis naman. Sabi rito, okay, we have a few people. Okay, we'll wait for a few more seconds just to prove a point. Okay? Ayan, siguro may ba nagbo-vote pa? Let's wait. The code again is 48876998. While we're waiting.
For those of you who are not aware, you have to go to the website menti.com, www.menti.com, and then you have to type in the code. That is when you can vote.
Yes.
You'll have to
I can go back to the QR code if you like. Para mas,
yes, scan the QR code. That will
you
be
can
easier.
scan the QR code.
But if you're just using your mobile gadget to view the webinar, so you will have hard time scanning the QR code, you can just go to the website. Again, www.menti.com, type in the code 48876998, and after that, you can already vote.
Salamat, Kate.
You're welcome.
Ayan, nako, 94. I think we can stop there because I think we have proven our point. The point between technical, cognitive, and emotional and social competence. You know, your answers is no different from the many exercises I've done this in the past years. And I'll just give you an example. They were using Post-it note because it's a live class and it's the same thing. The result is many have associated effective leadership or good bosses with a strong emotional and social skills. Why is it EQ? Why there's so many people who have placed their answers towards social and emotional intelligence? Alam niyo po, IQ kasi po is from based on research, depending on the material that you're reading, they said between either 18 or 22 years old, your IQ stops. It just stops developing. Of course, there may be some studies that points otherwise, but based from what I've read so far, IQ stops between 18 to 22. So if you're below 22 years old, I think your IQ is, that's it. You can't do anything about it. You cannot develop it. You can make it more efficient. You can enhance it, but your IQ level is the same. The technical skills, by the way, is something you can do overnight. You can do that over a year. You can enroll into a program, pursue higher studies. Yes, TQ can be developed in a very, very short period of time. However, social and emotional skills, they will take a lifetime. That's why it's so important that you start early. And I'm glad that you're starting very, very early. In fact, Google recently conducted that skills such as emotional intelligence skill sets and communications and coaching were more important than science, technology, engineering, and math, or yung tinatawag nilang STEM, STEM. Because these social skills, social and emotional skills, can carry you out even into higher levels of management. Now, let me ask you this question. If EQ and social skills are so important, why is it just being discovered now? Before, what happens? I think there's a little bit of confusion when it comes to emotional intelligence, though it was just discovered more recently. But I think EQ has always been existing in the past. It's just that we never really labeled it at all. Now, going back to our exercise, we recognize now how important emotional and social skills is. And now, how does it feel to work with this kind of leader? I continued interviewing these participants, and we won't be able to do it here, but I asked them, okay, how does it feel to work with this kind of leader? So you're going to work from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then from 9 to 5 maybe. And then I asked them, so what kind of emotions do you generate? So they identified what is a good leader. I think the way you have maybe classified what is a good leader is similar to what I have listed here. Then what kind of feelings are generated if I see and work with such a leader? These are the kind of feelings that they generate: empowered, enthusiastic, valued, energized, hopeful, confident, safe, relaxed, mutual admiration, respected, motivated to excel, and so much more. All positive emotion. These are what we call pleasant emotions. And then I asked the following question. So what is the product of that? What kind of output if I feel such pleasant emotions? And these are some of the top answers. They want to stay with the company, work harder, come in early because I want to stay late, look for ways to improve the area, and deliver more. These characteristics, ladies and gentlemen, point to the importance of EI in leadership. And being aware of those people around you and supporting them will help build you up as a leader, while inspiring those around you believe in you as well. They're expecting you, they're observing you, and they want to put their trust in you. But if the emotions that are being generated is exactly the opposite of what we have listed here, guess what? The output would still be the opposite as well. People don't want to work for you. They don't want to work harder. They want to go home earlier. They don't want to go to work, and so on and so on. Why? Because emotions have a direct correlation to our behavior. So importante yon. Please remember that our emotions have a direct correlation to our behavior. In fact, sabi ni Erwin Federman, all things being equal, we will work harder and more effectively for people we like, and we like them in direct proportion to how they make us feel. How do you make people feel? That's the question. When you're around them, how do you make people feel? That's only for you to answer. Let me just give you some key lessons based on that exercise. Number one, our attitude is contagious. That's a given. You may not realize it, but that's already a given. It's a fact of life that we influence people around us based on emotions. When, especially if you're a boss or immediate supervisor, how you feel, how you think, how you work kind of predicts in a way the environment of your office or of your workplace. And that's very important. Our attitude is contagious. Number two, emotions affect our output and decision making based on our exercise. It has a direct correlation, especially in your decision making, especially on the way you work or even your relative output. Number three, performance can be improved through AI. I believe that. That's why I am an avid supporter of promoting emotional intelligence in the workplace. Now, I'd like to have a disclaimer. Don't go to work and say, according to our to Coach Lito, I can go to work just by just bringing my EQ. No, bring your technical quotient, bring your IQ with you, because they all work together. I'm just saying that there's not much you can do with your IQ. You can develop your TQ in a short period of time, but your emotional intelligence, you have to really spend a whole lot of time developing it. You have to be intentional. And last but not the least is EI is the greatest predictor of success. And because it's something that you can really develop, especially for a young leader like you all. So I keep saying about developing EI, developing emotional intelligence. So what is therefore EI? What is emotional intelligence? So this is our working definition. I'll just share it with you quickly. It's a set of emotional and social skills that collectively establish how well we, number one, perceive. Yan yung unang-unang factor. If you're looking at emotional intelligence, it is not one set of skills. It is composed of multiple composites, beginning with perception. And then the next one is expressing ourselves or expression. Emotional expression is the second component. A third component is developing and maintaining social relationship, or just develop and maintain relationships in general. That's a third component. And number four, coping with challenges. These are, in some terms, maybe if you're looking at other frameworks of emotional intelligence, it's self-management, coping mechanisms, coping strategies when you're under stress. And then last but not the least is the use of emotional information in an effective and meaningful way. You may not have realized it, but our emotions do generate data or information for the same reason that when you look at balance sheets or a set of data or information, it's the same thing with our emotions. These carry a lot of data and information which we can utilize for our decision making. So you have here, just for us to be able to have a working definition of emotional intelligence, and I've described to you some 5 basic composites of EI using the EQI model, and I've been utilizing EQI and also the other framework, Genus International Framework, just to be able to share a more holistic approach to training and developing emotional intelligence in the workplace. Here's a quote: "Our emotions are the colors that paint the canvas of our lives, adding depth and richness to our experience. They can guide us towards joy or sorrow, love or hate, but ultimately it is up to us to choose how we let them shape us." O, di ba ang ganda ng quote? Now, you can understand by now that emotions do play a very vital role in developing emotional intelligence. And so therefore, I just would like to get a quick run through of our emotions. How familiar are you ba with your emotions, di ba? And usually, pag translate mo na ang isang English na emotions, it's very difficult to Tagalog. And so it's been a very challenging exercise for me. That's why I want to know from you guys whether how familiar are you with some emotions or interpreting emotions or even observing emotions. Have you paused for a while, observed somebody, whether are they sad or happy, or glad or even troubled or going through some challenges. I'm sure you have, diba? So we will have some exercise. It's a quick one, and it's a short activity. It's about emotional literacy exercise. So the objective is for us to generate as many emotions. You're gonna type it in yung emotions dito sa chat box, and what we're going to do is we're going to generate as many emotions. Tingnan natin how many emotions are we going to generate as a group. So pag naulit, hindi na natin i-count. Siguro hopefully madami, no? Madami natin ma-generate. So here you go. Here's the picture. Show you a picture. And you're going to cite emotions that this person is generating. What do you think this person is thinking and or feeling? Sige na nga. May angry, may joy. Oh, ayun na. Dumami na. Ayan, angry, frustrated, in pain. May emoji pa. Happy. Oh, see? Kanya-kanyang interpretation. Singing happy, angry, frustration, frustrated, maraming frustrated, satisfied, excitement, frustrated, angry, frustrated, excited, frustrated, maraming frustrated, confused, that's something new. Exasperation, nagsasawa, pagod na pagod. Angry ulit, sadness, pwede rin, ano? Frustrated, ang hirap, ano, di ba? To be able to discern what is this person really feeling or even thinking, and all of you, as varied as your answers are, really it's hard to pinpoint what this person is feeling, but you are generating your answers. Kind of, these are emotions, can be confused, angry, frustrated. These are, you can see the wide range of emotions that a person can feel. And since you're mentioning these words, I guess it's safe to assume that you have had some kind of experience with these type of emotions that you have typed here, be it excitement, frustrated, excited, pain. And all of us are or have experienced such. And what I want you to do is just remember this time wherein you have experienced such an emotion, because as we go through this deck, you will be familiarizing yourself with certain emotions. And I do hope, as I provide you the tools to be able to be more precise with our emotions, with the way we're reading people, the way we're describing them, the way we say angry, wherein there are so many variations of being angry. Pwede sigurong irate, pwede sigurong furious. And the more specific you become with emotions, the more you become familiar with emotions, the more you become precise with the data or with the information that you are generating or that you are reading. An emotionally intelligent person can be very precise in the way they describe emotions or the way they describe their emotions that they're feeling, so that they can decide further and be able to intervene further, and so on and so forth. But thank you for participating. And like I mentioned to you earlier, we will go back to this exercise, I promise you. Like I mentioned to you earlier, we have the EQI 2.0 model in generating emotions. And you can note that this model is not only recognized by the American Psychological Association, it is not only listed in the mental measurement yearbook from Burroughs Institute, it's not only scientifically validated, it is also a level B instrument. But looking at the center of emotional intelligence, you can see 5 components or composites: self-perception, self-expression, interpersonal decision-making, and then stress management. And then under each composite are 3 competencies or skill sets. That's why it's really very hard for me to say, how do we develop interpersonal skills? But then again, there are requisites towards building interpersonal skills. And there have been studies made and research made that self-awareness or emotional self-awareness or and emotional expression, assertiveness are requisites to developing interpersonal skills. And I don't want to mislead you, so to speak, that you can just jump right in and develop your interpersonal skills. I want you to get into a process, so to speak, that the entry to developing emotional intelligence is through emotional self-awareness, which is under self-perception. So I want you to be reminded of that, that developing EI begins with self-awareness, and that's what we're going to cover in the next few lines, no? The slides, I should say, as we go through this activity. Let me just give you another quote. The number one reason now leaders are so successful is their inability to lead themselves. And you ask yourself, so why are they unable, unsuccessful to lead themselves? Simply because of this. It's self-awareness. And most of the time, you will find that leadership derailment is caused by, majority of the times, I believe from my experience, that it's caused by the lack of self-awareness. And I'll share with you some studies why that is the case. In fact, the top reasons for leadership development, if you're going to look at this one, lacking emotional awareness. See, number one agad, di ba? Inadequate funding or training and development, that could be a reason. Poor communication skills, vague vision, self-absorbed leadership, low adaptability skill, inadequate succession planning, maybe that's from the external side, trust issues, silo mentality, no clear accountability. Top 10. Now notice which of these leadership derailers are connected to EQ. Just about everything, from communication, interpersonal relationship, and self-awareness. Notice that self-awareness is high on the list. Part of the value of EQ, or developing your EI, is to increase our level of self-awareness. And we cannot change what we do not acknowledge. If you say that, no, I'm very self-aware, and that's it, but then again, you lack that special skill to be able to move forward, then you are depriving of yourself the opportunity to develop it. So I'd like to present to you a pathway to developing your EI successfully. And it begins, like I said earlier, it begins with self-awareness. The well-known quote from Aristotle that says, "Know thyself is the beginning of all wisdom," only proves the importance of self-awareness. How they recognize its value for centuries, since the time of Aristotle. So that is, managers must first be self-aware as per our framework, EQI framework. So managers, leaders, wherever you are, if you're around people, if you're supervising people especially, you must have a good and healthy level of self-awareness. Not only self-awareness, among other things like, ability to express yourself and so on and so forth, to be able to develop your interpersonal skills. Next, managers or leaders need to develop effective communication skills, both messaging and listening, and all that begins with self-awareness. Amazingly, it begins with self-awareness, then you go up to a level of self-expression, because without knowing yourself well, you fall short of moving forward to the EI framework. So we can safely say that a precursor to developing effective working relationship is self-awareness. So that's what I'd like to guide you. So you can use this as a guide in developing self-awareness. And let me show you a quick video just to give you a good introduction to self-awareness before I move on.
It's just, there's all this pressure, And sometimes it feels like it's right up on me, and I can just feel it, like literally feel it in my head, and it's relentless. And I don't know if it's going to stop. I mean, that's the thing that scares me the most, is that I don't know if it's ever going to stop.
Yeah. Well, you do have a nail in your head.
It is not about the nail.
Are you sure? Because, I mean, I'll bet if we got that out of there...
Stop trying to fix it.
No, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just pointing out that maybe the nail is causing...
You always do this. You always try to fix things when what I really need is for you to just listen.
See, I don't think that is what you need. I think what you need is to get the nail
See, you're
out.
not even listening now.
Okay, fine. I will listen. Fine.
It's just... Sometimes it's like there's this achy... I don't know what it is. And I'm not sleeping very well at all. And all my sweaters are snagged. I mean, all of them.
That sounds really hard.
It is. Thank you. Ow!
Come on, if you would just...
Don't...
Okay, sino po ba dun sa nakita niyong clip, sino po palagay niyo ang kulang ng self-awareness? Kula lang, ha? Anyone can just make a guess? Male, female? Actually, both, ano? They lack self-awareness, both. Actually, the male seems to be so focused on giving a solution. The female seems to be unaware of the nail on her head. So both are really exercising a lack of self-awareness for that scene. And alam niyo po, self-awareness, the challenge po kasi with self-awareness, you're right, both yan. Tama po sa chat box natin, sumasagot po kasi sila. And the challenge po kasi with self-awareness is if you're not intentional, it's not going to happen. In fact, it's a hard skill to develop. And I'm just being honest with you. You need to be very intentional. You need to have the discipline to develop self-awareness. And think it should be an everyday activity. Once you get a hold of, say, for example, identifying emotions, which is the next skill set I'll be sharing with you, you need to do it regularly. You need to be doing it every day because that will help you develop your self-awareness. Let me share with you a study made. This is Travis Bradbury, co-author of the best-selling book, Emotional Intelligence 2.0. Dun sa kanyang study, out of the 500,000 people who are able to accurately identify their emotions as they happen, sabi niya, only 36% have a healthy level of emotional self-awareness. The other 70% approximately don't have that levels, the healthy level. So in other words, 7 out of 10, kung nandito tayo sa classroom, would have, needs to develop their self-awareness further. And I did a little bit of research. I did a sample size, and I did some kind of random sampling based on my my observations and the things that I have conducted in the past. I say, is it the same with Filipinos? Are Filipinos, baka naman ang Filipino, typical Filipino, would be more self-aware? Or is it the same thing? And based on, I think I was able to generate around 68 or 69 variables, data points, and I took their averages and this, I plotted them in a scale. Now I want you to look at this scale without making this complicated. When you see 90 to 110, the scale on top, 90 to 110 is the average. So if your rating falls or your skill set falls between 90 to 110, that's the average. Anything below 90 is below average. Anything below 110 is above average. And you can see that if I go to the interpersonal relationship, before we go there, let's go to self-awareness. You see that self-awareness, or number 1, 2, 3, 4. Ayan, emotional self-awareness. It says there 97.8 if I'm going to round it off, which is not so bad, right? I mean, 97.8, that's a very respectable level of self-awareness. It's an assessment called the EQI 2.0. And the result is, hey, 98. If I'm going to round it off, that's so bad. The problem with this score is that these people that I have sampled, These are directors, senior managers, vice president, and CEOs. Now, if you're a junior manager, it's fine. Or you're just the regular supervisor, it's fine. I mean, 98 emotional self-awareness would have been a great score. But if you're already at the top of the echelon, and then you have, you're commanding or supervising hundreds and hundreds of people, self-awareness at 98 may not seem to be enough. I think I would expect your self-awareness to be at the 110 or above. And that made me wonder, maybe it's true. The Travis Berry assessment could be true, that indeed globally, maybe 70% of the population needs to really develop their self-awareness. And that has been my my endeavor, I should say, to develop self-awareness to a lot of our kababayan, even to those people that attends my training. Self-awareness is being intimate with yourself. That's how I would, in a nutshell, define it. And I think that's very important for us to understand, that we need to be very comfortable with ourselves. We really need to know our strengths, our weaknesses, and it's really a continuing journey for us to know ourselves, discover ourselves, develop new habits, new patterns of thinking, new patterns of behavior, and then removing those bad habits and replacing them with good habits. And it's really a challenge. And I tell you, when every time I do coaching or interventions, I spend maybe around 3 to 4 months just to be able to pinpoint the self-awareness aspect. And I really do encourage my clients to begin with self-awareness. So just for you to feel how difficult this self-awareness is, we're gonna do a quick exercise. I hope you have the stamina. I want you to be self-aware for just 1 minute. That's a very, very fair request. Just for 1 minute, forget about things that are happening around you. I want you to focus on the next slide. It's a simple addition exercise. This is the only time I'm going to ask you to turn on your audio, because you need to participate in this exercise. So it's addition. So promise, addition lang yan. Walang subtraction, walang multiplication, walang division. Okay? So if you're ready, let me just give you a sample. Let's do a sample. Dapat ang sagot nyo sabay-sabay, ha? Let's do this. Audio off, ha? Audio off. Okay. 10 plus 10.
20.
Sige, sabay-sabay, ha? 10 plus 10.
20.
Ayan. Plus 5.
25.
Plus 10.
35.
Very good. So ganun lang po kasimple. Okay? Yung mga iba nag-chat, baka huli kayo kasi mabilis tong exercise. So if you can turn on your audio, well and good. Okay. So ready na kayo, ha? 1 minute of self-awareness. That's all you have to do is to focus here. Do not get distracted. Focus on the addition. Ready, set, go. 1,000 plus 40.
2040.
2040.
2040.
Plus
2070.
plus 1,000. Plus 20.
2090.
1,000.
2090.
Plus 1,000.
8,000.
Plus 10.
4,100. 4,100.
5,000.
5,000 ang sagot ng kaiba. Ang sagot ko, 4,100. Kasi pag inad nyo nga naman yan, maabot ng 5,000. Diba? Remember, diba? I asked you just for 1 minute to be self-aware. And then all of a sudden, bumitaw na lahat pagdating ng gitna.
4,000.
Wala na yung self-awareness. And then when you added up, naging 5,000. Your brain The scientific explanation of this one is your brain switched to something which is we call auto response. We do that very often. If you're not self-aware, you can easily switch to an auto response. We do that with people. We can do that with machines. We can do that with computer when you're typing. You can do that when you're driving, like shifting gears, stepping on the brakes, stepping on the gas. Okay lang yung auto response. Pero with people, it's a very, very dangerous thing, especially when we do an auto response to treating them. Your brain shift. You did not notice na nag-shift na yung mali yung calculator. Yeah, nag-shift yung iba to
Sir Lito, you are muted. You'll have to unmute first.
all right, there you go.
There, we can hear you again.
Okay. Where did I stop? Sorry. Na-unmute ako bigla. Okay. So very important that we need to have a conscious effort in developing our that's a right term, brain shifts. We shift, and then you're not aware that you have shifted. You're not aware that I'm mistreating a person. We're not aware that I've said something to offend the other person. We judge people automatically like food. Diba? Pagkain, we like it. Ay masarap. Ay hindi masarap. Ay masustansya. Ay hindi siya nutritious. And we do that with food, which is fine. But we cannot do it with people like he's smart, he's intelligent, and so on. We jump into such things. And before we do a break, I will share with you another quote. By introspection, we get at how we see ourselves, which can often be different from how we really are, or at least as we are seen by others. However, our self-perception, the way we look at ourselves, may be somewhat flawed by the unrealistic views we have of ourselves. That's why self-awareness is very helpful. Or getting feedback so that we can reflect on those feedback about who we are, what we're doing. We become mindful and we take in all this feedback. But when we do introspection, it's very difficult kasi you believe you're like this, but actually you're like this. And how do you reconcile both, which is what this is all about. We need to develop our self-awareness. Oy, yung may ba hindi pa nakaka-move on to sa 4,100? We can move. Balikan pa yung math. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that activity. But when we lack self-awareness, these are, if you have too little, these are the things that happens. We deny our feelings, we get misunderstood, we get caught off guard by the reaction of people, unaware of personal needs and motivation. If you have too much, okay, too much, pwede pa pala yun, that you can have too much of self-awareness, become self-centered, egotistical, self-indulgent, insensitive, sees everything as related to your own needs. Alam mo, lahat ng tao is about yourself, di ba? Any topic, understand, you think it's all about you, but no. So you need to have a good balance of that. And do I still have enough time for another activity? Short lang to.
Yes.
Pwede pa. Okay. All right. I want you to get into this emotion meter. We will be using this for us to get familiar with emotions, and I'll be moving my deck so that you can have an idea of what that is. Okay. So once you're here, let me just present that again. Yan. Scan lang po yung QR code. Again, the same thing, www.men ft.com. Tapos encode the 48876998. And then I want you to just answer, what is your energy level now from the scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest. Pag sinabi kong 10 energy level, siguro nakalimang tasang kape ka today. You have drank 5 cups of coffee. That's why your energy level is 10. And then pleasantness is that you're filled with good news today. You're hyper, you're excited, you just got promoted, you just got an increase in salary. That's why maybe you're a 10. So that would be a 10. So where are you at? Between energy and pleasantness, we will get into it by knowing our rating. I'm sorry, I don't have it here. But whatever it is, the outcome of that, how you rate yourself. For example, you rated yourself as either a 6 in energy and maybe an 8 in pleasantness. I'd like you can take a picture of this if you like. If you rate yourself, for example, a 6 in energy and then an 8 in pleasantness, therefore you now have a very good definition of precisely the kind of emotions that you have. It says there 6 and 8 is hopeful. So nasan kayo? Ano ang rating ninyo? I won't be able to show it right now, but maybe individually you can rate yourself. What is your emotion right now?
Coach Tito,
Yeah.
for the Mentimeter, it is bringing us back to your first question. So
Is it?
probably they can just use the chat box instead of using the Mentimeter for this.
Sure, of course. Yeah, you can just share me in your chat box. What is your emotion right now between energy and pleasantness? Between energy and pleasantness, 7 kayo sa energy, 7 din sa pleasantness. Therefore, your emotion is being happy. I want you to, don't put the number, please put there the emotion that you're feeling. Good. Optimistic, I see na. Inspired, very good. So, inspired, very good. 7, ang ganda naman yun, marinig ko inspired kayo. All right? Focused, motivated, inspired, optimistic, on the go. So take a picture of this one because it's a good way to journalize when you're journalizing and noticing your emotions. If you can start pausing for a while during the day, capture that emotions, record it, that will be, you start familiarizing yourself with the emotions, a varied way of emotions. Marami palang emotions, and they're segmentized into color schemes. You're red, you're yellow, you're blue, or you're green. Nasan kayo dyan at any point in time? I hope this tool will be important to you, and I think we are about to take a break. So after the break, I will show you another approach that can help you, a tool that can help you develop an intervention when, say, you're overwhelmed with emotions. Kate, back to you.
Thank you so much, Coach. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We're going on our break. I mentioned a while ago that something exciting is about to happen during this break time, because right now we are in the mood to give away prizes to our participants. So we will have 2 lucky winners who will be receiving 200 pesos that will go straight to your GCash account. And this is our game. It's called Guess the Movie. Ayan. This is very easy. We'll just be showing you short clips or short trailers of a particular movie. Now, this is what you have to do. You have to guess the complete and correct title of that movie and type it here in the chat box. You have to be the first one to type the complete and correct title, okay? May sumasagot na, wala pa. But let's do a trial run for those who are attending for the first time. If you're not yet familiar, let's do a trial run. I want you to start guessing the title of this movie.
You're impossibly fast and strong. You gotta give me some answers.
I'd rather hear your theories.
I have considered Radioactive spiders and kryptonite.
It's all superhero stuff, right? What if I'm not the hero? What if I'm the bad guy? Say it out loud. Say it.
Vampire.
Are you afraid?
No.
There you go. So that chat box moved too fast. The answers I saw are Twilight, Breaking Dawn, New Moon, Twilight Saga. There are two words, the Twilight. Twilight Breaking Down. The Ring, Saga 4. Okay, what is the title of that movie? Let's see. It is, yes, Twilight. There. So now you know how the game goes. Again, it has to be the complete and correct title. This is 200 pesos. May pang Starbucks later. Let's watch this clip. It will give you 200 pesos.
Ladies and gentlemen,
For our final trick.
we are going to rob a bank. On the count of 3, you will be teleported through space and time to your bank in Paris. 1, 2, 3.
Everyone in this room was a victim of hard times.
Some of you lost your homes, your cars, and so tonight,
We're gonna return some of that money back to you.
thank you everyone. We are the 4 Horsemen.
and
Good night.
There you go. The answers that I'm seeing here in the chat box. Now you see me. Hunger Games. What are the other answers? There are different spellings of Now You See Me. But let's reveal what is the title of that movie. It is, yes, Now You See Me. And the first one was really able to type it. She was very fast. So we have our first winner, Rosette Ann Castor. Congratulations, Rosette. You will receive 200 pesos. Rosette, this is what you have to do. Please send your GCash account number privately to Ariva Academy Philippines here in the chat box. And we will wait for your account number so that we can send you your prize. That's 200 pesos. Now, Rosette, because you've won already, you won't be able to join the game anymore. Para the other participants here inside Zoom will have a chance in getting the last 200 pesos. Okay? I hope everyone else is ready now. Get your fingers ready because you have to really type fast. This is the last 200 pesos. It might be yours. Let's watch this.
God help us all.
In 1954, we awakened something.
Well, there's nuclear tests in the Pacific. Not tests.
They were trying to kill it.
There you go. Going back here in the chat box, the answers I'm seeing are Godzilla, Fubar 2012, Avengers, Titanic, Iron Man, Pacific Rim, Deep Impact, Doomsday, Jurassic Park. Let us see. What is the title of that movie? And yes, it is Godzilla. So we have our last winner. We have Anne Jill Catherine. Congratulations. You are our last winner and you will receive 200 pesos. So this is what you have to do. Send your GCash account number privately to Ariva Academy Philippines here in the chat box. To our other participants, I see some of you are typing your account numbers here in the chat box. Please refrain from doing that. You really have to protect your privacy. So iwas tayo sa scammers, okay? Send your GCash number privately to us, Ariva Academy Philippines. Look for that here in the chat box. Congratulations, and I hope everyone enjoyed that game. Now, before I give the floor back to our speaker, I have some announcements to make. Again, congratulations to Rosette and to Angel. There we go. Stay on top of our insights and updates. Stay connected with Ariva Academy. You can join Ariva Academy's Facebook group. You can also like Ariva Academy's Facebook page. You can follow Ariva Academy in LinkedIn and also visit our website, www.ariva.com.ph. We are also inviting everyone to be a part of the growing Ariva Academy Viber community. Scan this QR code and that will bring you instantly inside our Viber community. For those of you who might have missed the free live webinars that we've had, starting 2020, you can all catch them in our YouTube channels. So subscribe to these channels, Ariva Academy and Ariva Talks. For those of you who are also interested in inviting our speakers to conduct a program exclusive for your group or for your team, we can help you out with that. Call us here in the office or email us. Let us know what program you have in mind, what topic you need. So here are some of the programs that we offer. We can help you partner with the right speaker under Ariva Academy Speakers Bureau for that. Let me invite you also to some of our upcoming learning events. Psychology of Persuasion and Influencing Skills. How to influence and persuade at work. This is another free live webinar by Ariva Academy that will happen on June 6 already. That is next week. The next one is on June 7. Excellent Japanese HR practices that can be applied in any workplace environment. So those are free live webinars. If you're interested in joining those programs, register as early as now to secure your slot. On June 9, we have Managing and Leading Remote and Hybrid Workforce, Maximizing Efficiency and Performance in Today's Dynamic Business. On the same day, Innovative Talent Acquisition Strategies to Retain Top Talent. Professional telephone etiquette at workplaces matter. This will be our topic on June 14. On June 15, Effective Purchasing Strategies and Negotiation Tactics. June 16, we have our Accounting 101 and Bookkeeping Basics. How to design and develop a competitive salary structure. That is our topic on June 21. On June 23, Strengthening Paralegal Skills, Business Contract Law for Non-Legal Professionals. June 28, the 10th Effective Administration of Salary and Payroll Law. Another free live webinar will happen, and this will be next month, with the topic Change Management in an Agile Environment. Strategies to help you strategies to help your organization handle change management. There you go. Again, this will be on July 4 already. There you have it. So again, give us a call, email us, or visit our website, www.ariva.com.ph, so that you can register. There you go. I won't be taking much of your time anymore. Let us go back to our speaker, Coach Lito.
Thank you, Kate. Let me just go back to my slide again and share. Yeah, and then share. Okay, going back to our emotion meter, you'll find in our emotion meter, welcome back, the red zone and the blue zone. And we classify this not really as bad emotions or negative emotions. I don't normally classify them, but they're just, unpleasant. They're just unpleasant, as simple as that. And when you're experiencing these type of emotions, I formulated some kind of easy to remember approach, which is called pause. Pause immediately, make it a habit. So letter P. A would be allow at least 6 seconds for breathing. This will just be able to activate your prefrontal cortex so that you might be able to think if you're overwhelmed with emotions. The U is understand and describe the situation or feelings. That means you can label the emotions. And then S would be C, by visualizing how you want to end the story or rationality of your thoughts and feelings. Now you can notice that you're shifting from being emotional to more like cognitive and combining both. And then finally, in the E is engaging emotion management tools. We won't be able to cover these aspects, but should you want to attend future trainings under Ariva on EI, I'm sure they'll be covering, if not all, some of these interventions that you can utilize. So pause, allow at least 6 seconds, understand and describe the situation or feelings, see by visualizing, engage emotion management tools or strategies. Ayan. So going back, we were covering self-awareness. That's the first step. The second step we're going to do is a robust assessment. And the robust assessment that I've been recommending is the EQI 2.0 model. Once you have this assessment, it's similar to my analogy is like going through a blood test, and then they will know your cholesterol level. They will know if your kidney is healthy, your liver is healthy, and all these other parts of your internal organs are healthy. A thorough assessment, inventory of all your composites, and you will know exactly which area you need to develop, which skill sets you need to improve, and so on and so forth. And it's not just an assessment, but being able to engage a coach, a certified coach, to guide you and to articulate or interpret your result. So that's the EQI 2.0, which is, I've mentioned in part, composed of self-perception, which is self-awareness, self-actualization, and self-regard. We know how important that is. And then we have self-expression, which involves the way we articulate ourselves, the way we assert ourselves with others. Are we too strong or too brusque or too soft, and so on? And then our independence, our ability to satisfy emotional needs. And then our interpersonal, our very own topic, our level of interpersonal skills, our level of empathy, our social responsibility, how helpful are we when it comes to those people around us? And that is driven again by self-awareness. And then your ability to make decisions. Are you more on just the facts and you're not considering emotions? When you're doing problem solving, do you consider the information generated by emotions? Our assessment of reality, called reality testing. And then our impulsivity. What is that? Is it very strong that you're not able to control them? Is it very tapered that you're able to manage it very well? And nasan ka dito? And then finally, stress management, which we all need, which is our adaptability or flexibility to change and adapt to situations, our ability to manage stress, and then our ability to think of a better way of approaching things, or optimism, which is really the main driver for stress tolerance. And these 5 composites addresses you as a person, your relationship with others, and your external environment. It's a very holistic approach to EI. That's why my argument is, do not jump into just developing your EI. Make it a scientific, proven approach, and this serves as a guide for you to develop them all. A quick advertisement that we serve 360 feedback, workplace, and leadership reports, and all of that can be made available to you should you be interested. Okay, so I said self-knowledge, robust assessment. Why? Because you don't want to do a guessing game. You don't want to guess whether your level of self-awareness is a number, or very high, or average, or low. The next one is your capacity and your capability. And I say this is because capacity is, or I should say capability is your skill sets, right? If you have self-expression, you're assertive, or you're independent, you know how to articulate, that's your capability. But the capacity is it maximized? Or is it being hindered by certain skill sets that you should have addressed first, so that your interpersonal skills, if we have an example, say I want to develop my interpersonal skills, yet my assertiveness is very low. That means I can be received, or I can come across very, very strong by others. Therefore, it will affect your interpersonal composite. So for me to increase my abilities, my capacity, I will always address first my assertiveness, if that is the one that's hampering it. And that can be seen by assessment like this. And this is a good example of an assessment. So remember, capability are your skill set, your capacities, is it being optimized? And your coach and your result, you might be able to address it instead of being direct, because it's not linear. Ang approach po sa emotional intelligence is never linear. There are other skill sets that's causing maybe a lowering of a skill set, maybe an empathy. What's causing it? What's affecting it? If it's the score is very average, you want to boost it. And that's how I would recommend you to go about it. So again, we said self-knowledge, no, or self-awareness, then robust assessment, then building the capacity and capability by looking at your scores. And the next one is balance. Is high good? It depends, really. Imagine if you have a boss who is high in assertiveness but very low in empathy, what happens? He's going to be very bossy, di ba? Or a person with high empathy, if you're the boss and you have high empathy but very low in assertiveness, you cannot implement a deadline. That can be very difficult as well. So it's balancing. And the coach or the scores will tell you where you are out of balance. And I tell you, certain skill set can be very harmful if it's too high and it's not offsetted by other skill sets that you might need to develop. And you can only see that, you cannot see that in feedbacks. They will not be able to give you the accurate feedback because they don't have numbers. You need to assign a number and you need to have an assessment that is scientifically validated and highly reliable. And I present to you the EQI 2.0. There are other assessments, of course, and they're equally very reliable, I should say. So if you want to know more, you can ask Kate, and Kate will forward to me your questions on that one. Okay, so far so good. I am going through this one because it's 3:08, and I want to be sure that I've covered every aspect of this learnings that I have prepared for you guys. Okay, so let's move on. And the next one after more balance is, of course, a continuous improvement. Now, you may not realize it, but EQ or continuous improvement is part of EQ. Your ability to strive harder. You have a good and very clear, crisp vision of yourself. And it as tempting as it is to do it yourself or DIY, I would really suggest that you don't. Try to get a good coach, a good mentor to develop your self-awareness, starting off with a very robust assessment so that you have a good foundation and pattern or map in developing your EQ. You can do this every 6 months or every year if you like, so that you will be able to track whether your interventions or your coach is effective enough in developing your emotional intelligence. So you got self-awareness or self-knowledge, robust assessment, capacity, and capability, more balance, para there's no hiccups, there's no humps in the development of your EI, and then continuous development, which I mentioned. Try not to do it, not to do a DIY, but try to rely on professionals in generating and helping you create some kind of a map in developing your EQ. Now, how is this related to leadership and being able to have a working relationship? Without your ability to coach, without your ability to have insight, without your ability to be authentic and innovative, these can be sources of or hindrances to developing your interpersonal skills or fully your emotional intelligence. And these four, though you may not have seen this, but these four characteristics or composites are very present in almost all leadership frameworks. And I just would like to shift you, if you're going to look at these 4 traits that are present in almost all leadership frameworks, they are supported by competencies of emotional intelligence. I just want to bring this home by saying that you cannot do a leadership development, an interpersonal skills, or working relationship without EQ. You really have to have the EI component. And can EI be effective? Has there been proven facts and data that EI can be developed? Well, let me show you this assessment made by a few years back. In 2003, you can see on the left side the EI component, and then after an intervention after 1 year, you can see that it can be developed. It can be intentionally developed, and it's important for us to have that sustainability and patience to develop our own EI. Because I promise you, when you reach, if you're already in the middle management, senior management, and when you become CEO someday, it's going to be quite hard because you're going to be very busy now. So while you have the time, while you have the energy, while you have the youth on your side, I would suggest that you invest on developing your EI, and that begins with self-awareness and getting a robust assessment of your EQ. So self-awareness or self-knowledge, robust assessment, capacity and capability, which would require you to have a coach, more balance, which I would suggest that you get a coach on this one, and you driving yourself towards continuous improvement. That would be my 5-step process that should serve you as a guide to developing your emotional intelligence towards a better working relationship. And I hope that this should at least inspire you, entice you to move with EQ and get things aligned with how you want to be a better boss, a good boss, how you want to be perceived as an effective boss using emotional intelligence. Let me leave you with this quote. The power of emotional intelligence. People will forget what you said, and people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Yeah, that's so true. They will always remember, like you will always remember how you felt being treated nicely and respectfully and professionally, right? And I leave you with that quote from Maya Angelou. And I think I will end my presentation there. It's 3:13, and I give you some time, I guess, for Q&A. Kate ba? Tama ba? If they have some questions or clarifications that they might have.
Yes, Coach. So now we're opening the floor for questions. You may type them here in the chat box, or you can click the raise hand button so you can ask your question directly to our speaker. If it's a sensitive question, you can send it to me privately. And then when I read it, I won't be mentioning your name. Okay? Libre pong magtanong, so ask away. I have a few questions here already, Coach Lito. It was sent to us already. Here's the first question.
Yep.
Are there instances in an office where EQ must prevail over IQ, or should it always be a balance?
Is either the question, I guess, is either EQ or IQ. I think both would have to be. I think you cannot really leave IQ behind. It requires some cognitive competence to a certain degree, especially when you're in the workplace. And what should prevail? I think it should be a balance between your IQ and your EQ. But what's important is you have the EQ to be able to navigate in challenging conversations. But if you don't have the EQ, no matter how much you want to to be an effective communicator, if you don't have that competency, it would be very difficult. So my answer to that would be both. Both should prevail. Now, are there instances wherein EQ would be more dominant with IQ? Wala eh. Even conversations with your staff would require IQ and EQ. So I would say both. I really can't separate the two. They're very, very important. There's a question here, Kate, if I may read it.
Oh, sure. Was it sent to you directly, Coach?
Yeah.
You may answer that first.
Is it okay for me to answer this?
Yes, please.
It says, what do you think is the best use of our emotional intelligence? What's the best use of our EI? The best use of our EI, I'm not sure whether I get the question clearly, but EI is existent in anytime you are dealing with folks, with people, you need to have EI. I think that becomes, if you're facing a machine or a robot, I think you can do without the EI, but every time you deal with people, I think EI is a must. I hope I answered that question.
Okay, another question. This was sent to me directly, so here's the question. How do I deal with co-workers who don't want confrontations? Like, I want to correct him or her for his wrongdoings, but he doesn't want confrontation.
It's there for two aspects of that one. Number one, you as an EQ practitioner or somebody who is interested in developing EI needs to understand the dynamics, why this person doesn't want to be confrontational. Number two, you can always consider the other part of things. Is it my ability to express myself? Maybe it's really me rather than him or her not really wanting to be confrontational. You can always go back to yourself. And the problem is you cannot control the other person, diba? You can only control yourself. So I would go back to myself, try to improve my one of those composites, it's called emotional expression, and see whether if I improve that, maybe, just maybe, I might be able to reach out to that person.
Okay, thank you for that answer. Another question. We have several questions already. How do I develop boundaries with my boss and teammates, and how can I say no to them?
That again is a skill set called assertiveness. And assertiveness is really a skill set, but it should be balanced by your empathy. And we think that assertiveness is just saying whatever you want to say and whatever you want to think. No, it requires a balance in terms of self-expression, your ability to convince, persuade, or even express yourself. And therefore, I am afraid it's not a linear when it comes to just being able to say no, but how are you articulating this? And that becomes a composite under self-expression, but balanced off by your interpersonal skill set. So you need two skill sets. So I would suggest that you would develop those skill sets first, instead of just saying no outrightly. Sometimes it's okay to say no and the other person would understand it. Paano kung walang EQ yung kausap mo? Babalik sa iyo, magagalit pa, di ba? So kailangan, ano nga ba, what's the best approach to saying this no to a person? Saying no to person A is quite different to saying no to person B. And you need to have that knack or sensitivity to tailor fit when you're communicating. I wish I can give you a straight answer, but they're not stock answers. You really have to be very, very situational. I have a question here, Kate, if I may just bring this up again. So how does one handle irritation or anger through a lot of happenings with my coworkers? Okay, like I said earlier, how does one handle the irritation or anger? And the cause of the anger can be those people around you. Okay, well, first of all, acceptability that you cannot control them. Okay, you can only control yourself. Now, When you're angered, when you're frustrated, when you're overwhelmed with irritation and agitation and you're in fury, I would suggest that I have a tip. This is a short intervention and this is not a permanent one, but if you're angered, that's a very high energy emotion. When you have a high energy emotion like anger, you need to shift, you need to use interventions that are low energy. Like, for example, do not be alone. No, I'm sorry. You need to be alone. That's a low energy. You can just be by yourself. You can step out. You can walk. That's a low energy intervention. You can read books. That's a low energy intervention. You can listen to music. That's a low energy intervention. Which is, if I may add, worry is quite different. Worrying is a low energy emotion. So what you need to do, the intervention you need to do is use a high energy. So when you're worried, go with families, go out, go malling, do boxing, run, do biking, and so on. So opposite parate, pero temporary solution yun, ha? It's not an escape for you to not address your emotions, and I hope that would just temporarily relieve you so that you can think more clearly and you become centered.
Okay, thank you for that. Here's a question here in the chat box. This is from
Hirap ng tanong, Kate.
Very Miss Universe ko ba? Ang hirap ng question. Here, this is an interesting question. It's from Engineer Ariel. How to overcome overeating or drinking when stressed?
Okay, that is a component of impulse control. How do we do it? I think it's good to distract yourself. And many interventions can tell you, distract yourself, go out, stay away from food. But these are temporary solutions like anger and worry. And what I normally do is when you're stressed, you approach it. You stress me small. You try to come up with more effective coping mechanism rather than eating. Eating is a good thing. I'm not saying don't eat. I say we should eat and we should go for comfort foods, and I would go for arroz caldo or something like that. But that's a temporary solution. And a lot of our coping mechanisms are temporary, and because they're temporary, we think they're permanent. No, these are all temporaries. You need to find a more permanent solution to stress management, and that can be coping like mindful practices, mindful breathing, journaling, very effective approaches to stress management. I think you should enroll in the future Ariva courses on emotional intelligence. Yun, medyo di-discuss nila yung interventions doon. Marami dyan. Marami.
Thank you for that. We have another question. We still have several questions here.
I have one here.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
I jump into it because it's a very difficult one. How, Jesulito, can a person overcome a panic attack? Okay. I'll be very honest with you. I am not a clinical psychologist, so I cannot address it because this one would be in the area of psychology. So I always try to limit myself to just EI. And so when it comes to psychological matters, I would stay away from it. I am very sorry I cannot answer your question. So panic attack is something I cannot answer. My apologies. Yes.
Okay, here's another question. Well, it's somehow related to that, but I'm not sure if it's the same one. How can we manage our emotions when we have mental health issues?
Yeah, there you go. I think it's the same answer I'm going to have. Mental issues. Now, mental issues, be it, say, for lack of a better term, medyo be issues mentally, right? You're faced with a mental problem. Now, this is quite different from a distorted kind of thinking. When I say distorted kind of thinking, can be, you're a judger, you're always judging people, you're jumping into conclusions. These things we can address it using EI. But the mental issues, like I said, it requires a professional a medically qualified professional to be able to answer those questions. I'm afraid, again, I won't be able to address those.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for saying that. Now, here's another question. How can we motivate ourselves whenever we experience failures because we question our capabilities and our self-worth already?
Good question. This is partly related to stress management or self-management. And it has been found out that your ability is not in your strategies or techniques. It's how much of the positive influence have you frame your mind. Because if you don't have such positive influence in your mind, you don't have that mindset, no amount of strategy will work. So I would suggest that you try a lot of positive interventions, being like, for example, being thankful. One of the best approaches, there are many, so this is just one of my favorite. You write 3 ways to thank God, or 3 ways to thank everything that is happening to you, and if keep on journaling. And do not be general. Thank you for the day, or thank you for the life. Don't say that. You be more specific, like thank you for being able to get home safely, or thank you for the free ride that I got, or thank you for the work that I have, the job that I have that I am enjoying. And keep on generating those positive thoughts, positive energy, and you'll be able to generate the strength, the stamina to overcome negativity in your life. That's just one approach, though.
Thank you for that. Just to add, I also practice that. I do that every day, looking for something to be thankful
Yeah,
for.
being thankful is a good way to do it. Yeah, reading the Bible, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that. Another question. We're down to, I think, last 2 because of time constraints. Here's a question. I know we still have a lot, but because of time constraints, down to our last 2. So I chose the really good questions now. Here's the second to the last question. Are sudden outbursts of being emotional rather than logical a sign of having low emotional intelligence? And how can I help my office mate have a better emotional quotient?
Number 1, it's not a sign. It's not automatically a sign of low EI. Outburst, it can be just, one aspect of your EQI would be impulsivity. That's something maybe part of your average. Maybe that would be the average, but the rest of your skill sets can be very high. And how do you help a person that is outbursting? First, know this fact that if you're angered and you're expressing yourself by breaking things, and like for you ladies and males, if you're driving and then you're honking your horn, there's a pot horn, di ba? Pot, that's fine kasi the person is blocking your road. But if you're honking like long horns, you are feeding your impulsivity, and therefore it's not helping you. So expressing your anger by hitting someone or hitting some things or breaking plates, it's not helping your anger at all. So learn about that. I think you can Google it if you like. There's researchers that proves that it's not helping your anger. And I suggest that if you're angered by it, use the low level emotions that you can use as an intervention temporarily, of course.
Oh, thank you so much for that. Next question. This is the last one. What is the appropriate way to handle a coworker who keeps on ranting and complaining about the work, their coworkers, their supervisors, because it is already affecting others and also making them feel the same way? So it's not a co-worker already. It's already making everyone in the office rant already.
Toxic. I dealt with that similarly. She's a manager and she was complaining about her supervisor. Granting that the supervisor is already a problem, because she was just complaining and she's downloading all these toxicity levels to her coworkers. Therefore, the environment gets toxic. And how do you deal with that? Well, number one, do you have the stamina to listen? Because your tolerance to listening to something toxic can be very challenging. So first of all, try to find out, do you have that stamina to listen? Because maybe that person is looking for someone to listen muna, di ba? Minsan naghahanap lang ng kausap, walang nakikinig. So maybe if you're the right person, if you have that stamina, maybe you can start listening, which is a good practice, by the way, of emotional intelligence, wherein you can listen, you can exercise hearing, no matter how negative it is, you can listen to and see whether that would fix it. Maybe she just needs someone to listen to. You don't necessarily have to give advice, just listen, lend an ear, so to speak, and that might help.
And that is our last question. Coach, thank you so much. You have been very generous with your answers and with all of your insights, your wisdom. I'm sure all of our participants really appreciate that. So thank you. And us here at Ariva, we really appreciate you. That's why we'd like to present you with the certificate. Let me just show this and read this.
Salamat po. Thank you again. Thank you, Ariva.
We
Thank you
really
for
appreciate all the learnings that we got from you. Lahat po kami here, Zoom and via live stream are all saying thank you to you. Thank you so much, Sir Lito.
Sana nabusog kayo.
Totoo po yan, nabusog po kami. So thank you so much. Now, before we call it a day, let us invite all of our participants to turn on their cameras if their cameras are still turned off. Join us in this group photo. Let's have a group photo with our speaker. And then the link for the feedback form is already posted here in the chat box. All you have to do is click that link and fill out the form and then send it back to us. We'll be posting the link here in the chat box and also via our live streams in Facebook and YouTube. So just click that link and fill out the form, send it back to us. We will greatly appreciate your feedback. There you go. Now I'll be calling on the assistance of our technical director, Direct Jello. Can you help us out, please?
All right, thank you so much, Miss Kate, for that warm welcome. And I would like to ask everyone to please open their cameras for 2 shots of group photo. For first shot, just give me your biggest smiles. Show me your biggest smiles, everyone. Ready? In 3, 2, 1. All right, for a second shot, just give me a finger heart. Show me your finger hearts, everyone. All right, ready? In 3, 2, 1. All right, thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Back to you, Miss Kate.
Thank you so much, Direct Jello. In behalf of everyone from Ariva Academy, maraming salamat for being with us on this fabulous Friday full of learning and fun for all of our participants. We're looking forward to welcoming you again in our future learning events. Thank you, everyone. God bless you all and happy weekend.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Ay, gago ka. Asan na yung
Ariva Academy would like to thank the following win-win partners. Official media partner, Art Plus Magazine. Digital media partners, Focus Media, the largest digital out-of-the-home advertising network in the Philippines. Globaltronics, leading digital innovation.
City Advertising Ventures Corporation. Remove your brand. Outcome. Elevate Media. Ariva Academy would also like to thank the following companies. Brother, at your side. Faber-Castell. Glutus C. Moringa O2. KFC, it's finger licking good. Mr. Donut. Tokyo. Lotus Biscoff. Finma Properties, making room to build your future. Creative Voices, Certified Voice Artist Program. Mighty Tech Advertising and Merchandising. Le Jardin Printing Services. Purple Rockstar, be on top, stay on top. Business Mirror, a broader look at today's business. SM&I, Truth That Matters. Major sponsor, Payday Solutions, a bridge company.